All right, welcome back. We're trying to help those get ready to take that state exam. And this portion that I'm going to be going through today is dealing with the state-specific questions that you're going to get, or information you're going to get questions about on the real estate exam. Now this is going to be the South Carolina state portion. So if you're in another state, this may not be helpful to you. In fact, probably not, because different states obviously have different laws. And the way I'm going to do this, instead of having just one very long video, I'm just going to kind of break it out into several different parts to make the video a little bit shorter, to try to keep your attention span too. So this would be part one of dealing with the Real Estate Commission. Need to understand a little bit about what they're about and what the licensing requirements are here in South Carolina. You're going to get 9 questions out of this module. Now there's 35 total questions on the state exam, on the state-specific portion. So 9 questions are coming out of this module. Again, be broke out into different, several parts here, and we'll see how far we get. But again, I'm trying to keep the video short. But you can see here some of the things that they're going to be asking you about. The Real Estate Commission, the requirements to get a license and stuff like that. But we'll be going through, and we're going to start out, well, what is the purpose of the Real Estate Commission? I guarantee you that'll be a question on the exam. You need to know that. What's the purpose of the Real Estate Commission? Pretty easy. To protect the public. That's it. In fact, I might be able to help you with a couple other questions very similar to this. If they're ever asking you the purpose really of anything, for example, the purpose of the Real Estate Commission. What's the purpose of continuing education? What's the purpose of licensed law? If one of your options is to protect the public, that's the one I would go with. Because obviously that's what drives everything we're required to do. We're supposed to be protecting the public, and that's the job of the Real Estate Commission. So, there are 10 members that make up the commission, and they will ask you questions about this, and I'll try to help you a little bit on kind of exactly what kind of questions they're going to ask here in just a minute. But you got to know the makeup or the composition of the Real Estate Commission. There are 10 members that serve on that commission. There are 10. And you need to understand how they're broke out or how they're determined, because I promise you're going to get questions on this. Well, in South Carolina, we have 7 we have 7 congressional districts all around the state. And the reason that's important is because our elected House members will elect, the House of Representatives, they will elect one licensed real estate agent from each congressional district to serve on the commission. So that's how the first 7 are determined. There's one from each congressional district. Again, they're elected by our House of Representatives. And all of those, all 7 of them, are licensed real estate agents, meaning they actually practice real estate. But then the governor will appoint 2 others to serve on the commission. Now, the 2 appointed by the governor are not licensed real estate agents. They do not have a license and obviously do not practice real estate. But they do serve on the commission by appointment by the governor. So with the 7 now elected by the House of Representatives plus the 2 appointed by the governor, so now we have 9. And once those 9 members have been seated, then those 9 members will now elect one more licensed real estate agent from the state at large. Okay? So that's where the 10 come from. Now, what kind of questions could they ask here? Well, one question I know they like to ask, how many of the commissioners are elected? And hopefully if you did your math right, you came up with 8. y'all, because there's a total of 8 that are elected. Remember, 7 of them elected by the House of Representatives. 1 of them was elected by the 9 already seated. So that's 8 elected. And then obviously 2 are appointed by the governor. Okay? So you need to make sure you keep that in your mind. There are 8 total elected, and there are 2 that are appointed by the governor. Now, what's the big difference between the 8 elected versus the 2 that were appointed? Hopefully that comes back to you. Remember, the commissioners that are elected are all licensed real estate agents, meaning they practice real estate. But the 2 appointed are not. They are not licensed and obviously therefore cannot practice real estate. But then how long will they serve? 4 years. Once they're appointed and or elected, they'll serve a term of 4 years. Now, when everybody's time is not up at the same time. We're not going to replace all 10 commissioners every 4 years. That's not the way that works. So it's probably every year you'll probably have 1 or maybe 2 that their time has expired. They go off, and then they'll backfill those seats in the same manner, whether it be elected or appointed. But they'll be backfilled in the same manner that the previous person left it in. But again, they all serve 4 years. And I think that's probably about all they're going to be. They could ask you about the commissioners. But then, when we look at what some of the powers and duties of the Real Estate Commission would be, obviously their biggest objective is to, they set policies and they administer these policies in a manner trying to enforce the license law. Now here's something you better, again, for test purposes, you need to remember this. First of all, can the Real Estate Commission write the laws? No. Only the state legislature can pass laws in South Carolina. But what the Real Estate Commission would, obviously they have the authority, or what we call police power, to enforce the license law. Now, in order to enforce the laws, could they potentially write policies, regulations, procedures, things that they might feel necessary to help enforce the law? Yes. They can write policies, regulations, procedures, things of that nature, but they cannot write the law. So please be careful with that on the exam. Don't confuse policies, regulations, and so forth with law, because it's not the same thing. I promise you they'll probably try to get you there. But then a few things here you see that the commission deals with, or in some cases does not deal with. In paragraph A on the slide, it says the Real Estate Commission will not get involved with commission disputes between real estate agents. If one agent is in a dispute or an argument with another agent on who's supposed to get how much commission or what commission, it's saying here the Real Estate Commission will not get involved with that. So if you have a falling out or disagreement with another agent on how much you're supposed to get paid, that's between you and that other agent. You need to work it out. But you better not contact the Real Estate Commission over it. They're not going to get involved with that. In fact, they may cause you some problems just for calling them. Because it says here in the law, do not involve the Real Estate Commission over commission disputes, right? Or you almost say commission, talking about compensation disputes. So how do you deal with that? If you have that issue, then you can go talk to your broker in charge. If they're a realtor, you might want to look at potentially an ethics complaint. Might even have to come down to a lawsuit, hire an attorney or something. But at the end of the day, you're on your own when it comes to that. So so you and that other agent just need to work it out. That's what you're going to have to do. In paragraph B, the Real Estate Commission here is saying, you can pay and or receive referral fees for referring business out of state. Now, obviously there are some requirements here. And to make sure we're clear on what they're talking about, if you have a friend or someone you know that is relocating or moving out of South Carolina into a different state, could you potentially refer that person, that in this case a buyer, could you refer them to another agent in a different state and receive a referral fee for that? Yes, you can. That's awesome. In fact, I will tell you, a big part of your real estate business should be referrals. If you're not getting a lot of referrals, especially after a couple of years, I'm telling you, that's probably an indication you're not doing something right, because you should be getting a lot of referrals, certainly within 2 to 3 years, okay? But the kind of catch to it is, when you refer a buyer or a seller to another agent, whether it be in-state or out-of-state, first of all, you better make sure whoever you're referring to is a licensed agent. And obviously you must have a license as well. We're talking about active license. We're going to be talking about the different statuses your license can be in a little bit later. But everybody must have an active license, and then let them do their job. You can't. Once you refer that person, you got to stay out of it. You cannot give any advice or recommendations to that person anymore, because if you do, you're now interfering with another agent's agency relationship, and that's a no-no. So even though that person you refer might be one of your best friends or even a family member, you can't be involved with it. You can't, even if they call you up and say, hey, my agent is saying we ought to do this, what do you think? You better not get involved. I'm telling you, that other agent can cause you some significant problems. They could file a complaint because you're interfering. So, if you're going to refer someone, then you got to wash your hands up. Once you refer, you're done. You got to stay out of it. Okay. And let's see, paragraph C. Here's just letting us know that the Real Estate Commission has the right to conduct inspections, audits, and stuff like that. They could just show up at your door one morning and knock on your door. Surprise, we here to help, whatever. But they do. They have the right to do that, and they do that. In paragraph D, and this is actually what I was saying a little bit earlier, and I kind of got a little bit ahead. But again, just remember, the Real Estate Commission cannot write laws. They don't do that. Only the state legislature can write laws. But can they write policies, regulations, procedures? They can do that if they feel like it's necessary to assist in enforcing the law. Just don't confuse those two things. Big difference, okay? And then, the qualifications to get your license in South Carolina, you see them listed here. I promise you this will be, you'll get at least a question out of this information here for sure. But first of all, you got to be at least 21 years of age to be a broker or a broker in charge, or 18 years of age to be a salesperson, okay? Now, I want to be very clear here because sometimes this can be kind of misinterpreted. Some of you might be thinking, well, I'm 21 now, I'm just going to get my broker's license. Well, it doesn't work like that. You'll see this later, but you have to start out with getting your salesperson's license in South Carolina. You got to get your salesperson's license. You can do that once you're 18. But one of the requirements to become a broker or broker in charge is you must have at least 3 years experience as a salesperson. So assuming you got your salesperson's license when you were 18, then potentially you could get your broker license when you're 21, okay? So I didn't want you to think that, well, I'm already 21, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my broker. No, it doesn't work that way. Then in number 3, y'all, you're going to have to provide your physical home address. Y'all, what they're talking about, they're not going to accept just your P.O. box if you have a P.O. box. Y'all, they want to know where you live. They want to know where they can find you if they need you. So you will have to provide a physical home address to the Real Estate Commission. And then it's also saying, y'all, if your home address had changed, and quite frankly, if any of your contact information changes, whether it be your address, y'all, if you move, your phone number, your email address, y'all, the commission wants to be able to contact you if they need to. And it's your responsibility, if any of your contact information changes, you have to update that information with the Real Estate Commission. Y'all, it's pretty easy. Y'all, you just go on the commission's website. Y'all, when you get your license, you'll have a login password. And you can just log in and just update your information. Y'all, I'm sure that's not too big a deal. But the law says if any of that information changes, you must update it within 30 days of that change. And I'd remember that potentially for test purposes. You got 30 days from the time something changes, your address, email, whatever, you got 30 days to update it. And then number 4 says you do have to have a high school diploma or a GED, and you will have to submit a copy of that. That's my understanding now. So hopefully you can find your high school diploma or GED, or y'all, obviously, if you have a college degree, y'all, your highest level of education, okay? But at a minimum, you must have a high school diploma or a GED. And then number 5, you got to complete your real estate license education. Y'all, we'll be talking about what those education requirements are a little bit later. But to get your real estate license, you got to take the real estate course, right? And depending on which type license you're trying to get, you got to take the appropriate course for that license, and then you'll have to pass that appropriate state exam. And that's what they're talking about there. But then in number 6, you will have to submit to a criminal background check. Y'all, and that's I will tell you, that's not something, you can't just go to your sheriff's department and ask them to run a background check. Y'all, they're not going to accept that. Y'all, the Real Estate Commission, when you actually submit your application to apply for the state exam, y'all, this will be after you complete the real estate course. Okay, y'all, if you're trying to get your salesperson's license, you got to take the 60-hour Unit 1, y'all, salesperson's course. And then once you complete the course, then you'll apply to take the exam with the Real Estate Commission. And when the commission receives your application for the exam, y'all, they will send you basically a link in the email where you click on the link, and then you have to go through this, answer all these questions and stuff like that for the background check. And they're not going to approve you to take the state exam until till this background check comes back, and assuming everything's okay, then you'll go ahead and take the exam. I will tell you that background check also includes fingerprints. But again, in that same email, they'll tell you where you must go. Again, you got to go to a specific place. You can't just go anywhere to get your fingerprints done. So anyway, that'll have to take place. And then lastly, once you're approved to take the exam, then you got to pass the exam. That's it. You passed the state exam, and you're ready to start practicing real estate, making millions like most real estate agents do, I guess. But y'all, those are the qualifications to get your license. Again, I'm going to end this part 1. Y'all will have part 2, part 3 down the road for this particular module. Y'all just trying to keep this video a little bit short. But in the meantime, I hope you found this part to be informative. And don't forget, shine for Jesus.